What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. You got me, Gary, and Musk in the feathers. No footy this weekend, which is crap. But on Friday, you've got Funky Jesus and Craig the Baptist, who are going to be in the feathers. Even Mustang.
Funky Jesus sounds interesting. Thought that was Musky.
Funky Musky in the feathers. They're on tonight. And then tomorrow, you've got Tom Cartledge. And if you fancy yourselves a bit of a Tory, like I do now and again, you can get down to the, I don't know why I think this is Tory behaviour, but there's a cheese night on the 25th. So it's 15...
It might be cheese on toast. That's not Tory.
It's not, it's cheese and wine, I think. It's cheese and wine.
How do you know? Cheese night?
Because I remember speaking to them
bread.
about it. But it's meant to be boss. I might come down to it.
It's not Tory behaviour.
Is it cheese night Tory behaviour? I think you know, when you get wine and cheese, it's a bit...
Cheese board probably is, yeah. Like, I mean, you wouldn't sell, like, for instance, no disrespect, and I worked here, so I'm not disrespecting. They don't sell cheese boards in the Black Horse.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is...
They do in most pubs around Crosby.
I think everywhere else in the UK, having a cheese board is not Tory, but Scousers being Scousers.
That's what I mean. So it is in Liverpool.
Make it sound Tory. I love a fucking cheese board.
I like it. It's a bit of effort, I think, and you waste loads.
Oh yeah, I never make the cheese board, but when one's presented to
yeah,
me,
I know, yeah. It's funny that actually, because I'm the same. If I go somewhere and someone puts cheese, I was like, oh, sound is right, but then I'll buy cheese sometimes and go, I'm going to do that, and it just stays in the fridge.
Just lost all of our following now because we're fucking Tories like cheese boards.
No, we're admitting though that we wouldn't make a cheese board.
I'd never make one.
Eat one.
No.
I think most Scousers would eat it if it's there. I think Scousers eat most things when it's on the table.
Absolutely, yeah. Or go anywhere there's food and drink, going. So yeah, that's that in the feathers this weekend. Get down, support them. They've been great to us, so big thanks to them.
Well done, Andy, by the way. It's the first time ever that he's not said it's Gary from across the pond.
I'm just feeling
like I'm some kind of imposter.
I mean, I'm feeling more formal now, aren't I? So.
Do you mean less formal?
Less formal, sorry, yeah. Yeah, so we had a funny weekend, didn't we? We watched a bit of racing together. Fucking Galloping the Champs killed me, broke my heart.
I mean, it didn't just kill you; it killed a lot of people.
A lot of
punters.
I lost. I would have won $2,000 if that would have won. So I felt a little bit sick. But had a boss day. Maybe had a few beers with Gary, which was fun.
Shout out to Graham, who he's watching.
Shout out to Graham, yeah. Massive shout out to Graham. He put on a bit of a garden drinks thing.
Yeah.
His boss, wasn't it? Really good. So massive shout to Graham. Saturday then, what did I do Saturday? I think I just recovered and prepared.
Yeah, it was a big...
For Sunday. I was a little bit rough. I was all right Saturday.
I was rough.
You would have been rough. Gary lost his laptop, managed to get it back. Bit of a funny story with that.
Yeah. So,
he turned up, he turned up going, I brought this laptop so I can't go out.
To put into context, in case people are thinking, why have you brought your laptop out with you? So we were getting a taxi. I was getting a taxi from Crosby up to Walton, which is like 40 minutes. I hadn't quite finished my work, and I thought, if I don't finish this bit of work, it's going to drag into the weekend. I'm either going to have to do work at the weekend, or I'm going to be like starting Monday with my head up my arse. So I thought, right, bring my laptop with me, get these last few bits done. Everyone's happy.
But it was a little bit like, you know, when you drive to meet your mate in a pub and you go, I'm driving, so I can't have a bevy. He was like, I've got my laptop, so I can't go on a mad one to town with you. I was like, okay, sounds.
So we didn't go on a mad one to town. We ended up in Walton Village, then we ended up on Penny Lane till about whatever, 11:30. And bear in mind, we'd started drinking at 12:30, so, and I'd been up from like 5:30 in the morning in the gym. I'm like this. So I make Kieran when we were getting off. Me and Andy were worse where I was the worst, there's no doubt about it. Kieran's like, Gary, you've left your laptop. So I picked it up off the chair, gets in the taxi. Kieran even rings me when we were in the taxi and said, Gary, don't forget your laptop in the taxi. I went, it's on me knee. I forgot my laptop, left it in the taxi.
The best bit about it though, he rings me up the next day and he goes, hey lad, check your Uber lad and sign me in the Uber. I went, I didn't even book an Uber. It was a Hackney we had.
But you didn't even remember. You went, maybe Kieran booked the Uber. So I rang Kieran, and Kieran went, lad, you can get an Uber, you got an Acne. And I was like, oh no, I've got no chance here. So anyway, long story short, the taxi driver, what a legend, Brian, his name is. Doubt he'll be listening, but if he is, hello, Brian. He's now a very good family friend. He found a letter inside my laptop sleeve. Ironically, it was a speeding ticket that had my name and address in. Pops a little note through ours because no one was in when he came round with his number. I rang him, met him, absolute legend, gave him some money to say thank you. And I thought, with respect, I'll probably never see Brian again. Saturday night
12 hours later.
Yeah, 12 hours later, goes out with our mates, and me and Jem were on Matthew Street about 2 o'clock in the morning. Flags a taxi, gets picked up, whatever. Gets into our road, obviously directing the taxi driver, and he goes, "This is weird. I was only here about 6 hours ago dropping a laptop off." And I was like, "Brian, like, what's the odds of that?" Me and Jem were laughing our heads off going, "How's that even happens?" Like, to go, yeah, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, hello Brian. Big up Brian for getting my laptop back, and I'll never go out on a drinking sesh with my laptop again.
And before we get into sport, the one thing I will say then is what's been finalised between the boys last few days is last year, you may know, in fact you will know because a lot of you took part in it with us, which was great.
And donated.
And donated as well. We done the Goggins Challenge last year. This year, the Legged podcast and a couple others are going to jump on. We are going to do the National 3-Peak Challenge. So we're going to start in Ben Nevis, Scarfell Pike and Snowdonia, all to be done in 24 hours. So you're going to hear a lot more of that over the next few weeks. And if you can donate, I think we raised over 10 grand last year, didn't we? So if we can do another 10 grand, that'll be amazing. So more to follow on that. Right. So that was me Friday, Saturday. Stopped short there on the Sunday because it was the cup final. 7 o'clock start for me in Musk. I picked Musk up. Picked up at 7 at the 5 ways, jumped on a couple of buses with all the boys, travelled down there, had a boss day really, didn't we? Apart from the 90 minutes, which I've seen loads of people's Instagram, all Reds had kind of similar posts, you know, the 90 minutes got in the way, which it does most times. I think most match-going footy fans would say the same. The 90 minutes normally does get in the way of you being with your mates and having a good laugh and good catch-up. So the day itself, big shout out to Liam's firm. He sorted us out with the minibuses. Great bunch of lads on both buses. Went to our normal boozer, tucked into an Indian, a couple of pints. Boss day. I'm just trying to skate around the actual main bit of the, Sunday.
The main bit. I thought it wasn't the main bit. Well,
it wasn't the main bit, but you're egging me on to be.
No, you know where I was gonna not get you on. You go on all the time, blah, blah, and most Reds do. You'll never know what we experience, what we do, going away, going this, all right, maybe going to Europe's exception, but most Evertonians have had boss days like that, going, not Wembley, but, going away, spending the day with your mates, having a fucking, and we're like, who's asked have we got beat? It is what it is. And every time we go to Goodison, we have a boss day. And
yeah, I mean, I'd argue that the booing at the end of every game suggests that you don't.
But that's a minority, isn't it? It's not the whole ground booing the players, is it?
No. But no, listen, away
days. Not every game.
Away days are great.
I think if you could have booed on Saturday, Sunday, you probably would have done.
Albeit it's probably...
If there was anyone left in the ground.
No. I nearly missed... Well, I did miss the goal because I wasn't out the ground, but I was
already like edging out. Yeah.
Go on then, we'll get into it. I mean... I don't think we're going to disagree on anything here. You're going to fucking slag us and I'm probably going to agree with it. We were fucking shite.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think I need to slag you off. I think, as you say, you've done it yourselves and it was there for all to see. I just think what was more... I wouldn't say concerning. I'd probably say upsetting. I'd say upsetting for the fans is you didn't even have a go. Yeah. It's like they completely outworked you. They completely outfought you. I think Eddie Howe completely outdid Arne Slot from a tactical point of view. He's had no answer to anything. I mean, I was messaging people at half time, and I was saying words like, "These are going to flap it second half. You'll come out. You'll change it. You'll do this. You'll do that." It was like nothing happened. Obviously, you got the goal at the end, and that always causes a bit of nerves, and there was a bit of pressure after it. But they should have been 4-0 up at that point.
The big thing for me, and again, I mentioned it last week, and I don't ever want to come across that I'm slagging the manager off because, look, we're going to hopefully win the league, albeit a catastrophe. But I go back to that Southampton game. Why is he not rotating more? Because everyone, whether you've watched the game of football for the first time or you're a seasoned ex-professional who's won it all, who's commentating on it, it was so clear to see that midfield had no legs. They were so tired. So you think, why are they so tired? Well, they got a run around from PSG over in Paris. Then they played Southampton, who were bottom of the league. They all played the same game. Then they had another run around, played extra time and penalties, and then went into a cup final. Like, at some point, you've got to rotate a bit more.
Inexperience for me. And you know what?
As in, he's never managed in England before type thing?
Never managed at this level, has he? He's been in Europe and stuff, but the Dutch league and how passive it is, and the fact that, you can cruise through games and maybe get to 50 minutes and whatever. He acknowledged straight away the Premier League's a different animal. You don't have an easy game in the Premier League. But where I was getting at the inexperience bit, and I spoke to a few Reds about this week, I don't think he's paid enough attention to the Champions League format and how it's different. Like, it's up until the PSV game, I think it was, away, where he's made a few changes. You pretty much put the same 11 out in every game.
In defence to him, though, I've heard an interview where he said no one really knew.
But you look at the...
So you're saying that
once
he guaranteed the top 8, he should have chilled out?
Yeah, look at what Luis Enrique did, look at Ancelotti did. They made loads of changes in the Champions League. Now, the reason I'm saying what I'm saying... Not only do you not have to win every game, you only have to win half the games.
No, but they were unlucky though with getting PSG.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying. You win.
No one knew though, Gary, at the time that if top 2 had different.
Everyone knew the format. Everyone knew what was going to happen after.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. If you finished top 2, it was different.
Sorry, Andy, is it your job to know that?
No,
if you manage at Liverpool, would you spend time going, right, we need to understand this, we need to understand how we go about it.
I agree.
We need to understand how we can take our foot off the gas.
I would have rotated more as well in the Champions League, to be fair. Yeah, I would have.
It doesn't matter finishing top is the point.
It's hard to have a go at him though, because we're top of the league by 12 points. That's me only. I don't want to go too heavy on him that I should have rotated more. Because there's loads of reasons why he didn't. You could go, they're not his players. He doesn't trust some of the players who are on the fringe. You know. So
listen. No, you're right. You're right. You've been by far and away at this point the best team in the Premier League, most consistent and all that, which is obviously owed to the fact that he has kept the best players on the pitch more often than not. But I just think, and a more experienced manager not only looks beyond winning the league, they're looking at next season. You know, you got Reds looking around going, we're going to lose this player, we're going to lose that player.
And you just
got players that are burning out. You got players that are going to be now going into what's called an international break, playing for their countries. That's more games.
Well, Gravenberch already pulled out injured, and that just shows you how fucked they all are. Like, that is the one. That's disappointment. It's not a huge disappointment, it's a slight disappointment. What I will say as well, it's been brought up, and he actually defended it. And I can see both sides of it. The Dan Burn goal, the header. You know, everyone's saying, why is McAllister, trying to mark a 6'5" centre half while you've got Van Dijk zonal marking in the 6-yard box? And at the time, I was the same, thinking, what the fuck's going on here? However, I heard his press conference, and logically, it made perfect sense. You know, you're putting all your biggest, strongest, best headers of the ball in the zonal area in the 6-yard box, i.e. Van Dijk, Kanate. And you've got the players who are still decent in the air. McAllister's great. Man marking, 3 players that were man marking. The idea being, if the ball goes in the 6-yard box, your best headers are going to head it away. If the ball goes anywhere other than that, i.e. where it did, really deep, the idea being is no one's going to score an header from that far
Not
out.
having it.
That's the logic, though.
I understand the logic.
And what he said was 99 times out of 100.
Statistically,
Which I agree with.
Yeah, but if you play, there's exceptions to every rule, isn't it?
Agreed,
That's what cup finals are about. That 0.01% is what gets you over the line. You know that more than anything else. And I would always say, and this is a matter of,
it's coaching, really, isn't it?
It is a matter of coaching, but I would always say your best header of the ball shouldn't be restricted to an area. They should be allowed to go and win the ball. That for me isn't. And if you look down the years, and sometimes it's strikers. We do it with Calvert-Lewin, where you just go, you go and stand where you want. You go and follow the ball and go and win it. Everyone else is going to be confined to an area, as you say, defending the areas of the box where most people get the first contact, or most people get the first contact that leads to a goal. So that edge of the 6-yard box, if someone heads it statistically and gets a clean header in that area of the box, they're scoring, aren't they? 99% of the time. Therefore, your Kanates and Van Dijk being there makes sense. But I always think, if you've got a player in your team who is the best aerially, he shouldn't be constricted to an area of the box, because first contact from a corner is everything. It is everything. If you make first contact as a defender, 99.999% of the time, the opposition isn't
going to
scoring.
result in a goal, is it? No.
I think your Van Dijk should be allowed to follow the ball and go and win it.
I'm torn on it though. I am torn on it though, because I don't think that ever happens again. 99 times out of 100.
I think Williams Newcastle. Now,
it's one of them.
Did you see the clip of? It was a great clip, by the way, for Dan Burn. The clip of him scoring for Blythe at Wembley, like fucking 10 years ago or something. It's almost identical, isn't it?
Well, they tried that corner 3 or 4 times, I think, before it actually worked.
That was the one. That was the one for me. Second half, after he'd scored the goal, everyone's going, surely
Yeah.
And you just see McAllister and you're thinking, come on.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I seen a mad stat on Salah as well. He's only ever scored in all the cup finals he's been in.
Me? I put it in your group, yeah.
Scored 2 and they both penalties.
1, wasn't it? Wasn't it 1?
2. Well, 1 was the Community Shield, I think, and 1 was a
penalty.
Penalty in the obviously Madrid.
Yeah, he's never scored a goal in open play in
you look at
a major final.
You look at Steven Gerrard, scored in every cup final he's ever been in.
And how many times do you criticise Harry Kane for not contributing in finals? I think he scored 4 goals in finals, Harry Kane.
Yeah, he gets kind of lambered with the kind of not a big game player, doesn't he, Harry Kane? Could you say? I don't think you could say that about Mo Salah. He scored
a lot against City, hasn't he? In those big games for finals.
But for the finals, listen, I'm not going to have a bad word said about Mo, but yeah, I get your point. The other thing, the reason I brought Mo up then is the stats from the others. Jota, Diaz, Nunes have got 3 goals in the last 41 combined appearances. I think it just shows you the reliance on Mo, doesn't it?
I think it's like 10, 18 and 13. I don't know who's got what.
Yeah, Carragher's come out, hasn't he?
I think Jota's got none in 10.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, Carragher's come out because he's defending Salah to go, look, despite the fact he didn't turn up and admittedly didn't do enough, like, it's hard when you're the focal point, it's all about you, other people need to chip in.
It's just glaringly obvious, isn't it, that if he isn't playing well, we're probably not going to win.
But also it means that other teams will go, well, we're better putting a couple of players on Salah and letting those other 3 that aren't really firing, give them the space that we can then sacrifice a player for Salah instead.
Yeah, because the odds are the others aren't going to score.
Yeah.
Or they're going to need 3 or 4 chances.
Yeah. And it does just, I won't go into it too much because there's not really to talk on it, but the contract situation, I think after that poor performance on Sunday, it's just made everyone go, okay, this contract situation, now we can actually focus a little bit on this again, and it started kind of brewing again, hasn't it? And it just makes it glaringly obvious how fucked they're going to be if Mo and Virgil go.
Well, the rumours that there's a lot of clubs circling for Kanate as well. I think Kanate's only got a year left.
If Van Dijk goes, then Kanate's like, well, there's me mate. That makes makes
you look good. No, you're right.
But allows me to play with less pressure. And if Van Dijk then goes, like, fucking, I'm the leader of the line. Then
I think that's the most interesting one. We've obviously had this argument or chat or discussion so many times about which one's most important. But if you think about FSG's model of only buying players that are are going to increase in value, you can't do that with a centre back. You've got to get someone who's a leader, who's going to you're not only missing the position, are you, and all that, you're missing that leadership and that composure. You're not getting that from a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old. Let's say, for instance, he went, let's get Brandtwaite because he's going to appreciate again in more value. He's not a leader. So you look around at the players across the world who maybe you could go, yeah, there's a value there, he's going to get better. They're not going to give you what Van Dijk gives you.
I'll be honest, I'm really worried about, like, even if Liverpool keep all 3, which I don't think they will, they still need a big investment this summer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Listen, let's take nothing away from Newcastle. They wanted it more. You know what? People might not like me for saying this, but the fans wanted it more.
100%. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I definitely think there was a bit of a lackadaisy approach to maybe Liverpool and the fans. I'll put myself in that category. It was a bit of a foregone conclusion. It just seemed like another day to Wembley. I think I've counted. I think we've done 6 or 7, maybe 8 trips to Wembley. It was just a bit like, oh, we do this every year. Newcastle come to make it a party, and they did. Fair play to them. Both on and off the pitch, they done better than us, didn't they, really?
You mentioned Isak here. Surely he's got to be a name that's on that list in terms of players who could make a difference or would make a difference to use.
And I'd get as much as we can for Nunes. I think my feelings on him are clear.
Let's go alone with an option or something.
I just try, if we got 50 million for him, get him off the books, throw that 50 at Isak, and then you're only spending, if you have to put 80 of your own money in, do you know what? You're getting an 80 million payer for what, 130?
His value's only going up and up every game that he plays. Because now he's shown that he can do it in a big game like a cup final and stuff like that. It's a lovely finish as well. He absolutely just stroked it home. And that's showing that if we had him on the other end of the pitch, we might have been able to put a couple of chances.
And he also gives you the other stuff. He's not just like a selfish goal scorer, is he? Do you know what I mean? No. There's a lot of work outside. He holds the ball up. He's got pace. A little bit of question marks around his injury record because he does seem to be out every 10 games, but they're not like long-term injuries, are they?
I'm a massive fan of him. What I will say as well, though, that I'm not getting nervous or scared, but you look at our performance against PSG away, got the run around, very lucky to win that game. We then play Southampton, pretty much a full strength team. We're getting beat at half time. It takes 2 penalties and a very rare Darwin Núñez goal to get us over the line against possibly the worst Premier League team of all time. Then we get beat again by, we beat PSG, don't we, 1-0, but again, not
particularly convincing.
Yeah, not.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
we win the game, but we go out, which means fuck all. So it's done.
It was a bizarre result. Man.
Then we get beat by Newcastle. There's 4 games there on the spin that we've not been fantastic. Our next game's Everton. I don't think it's down to like the league's in doubt anymore, but I don't know whether it's still because it's so kind of raw, the cup final, but I am just thinking I hope we start fucking playing better soon, because it doesn't have to be a kind of twitchy end to the season. It shouldn't be. But I think over the last 3 or 4 games, it's a bit like you're looking at the legs. They've all gone on international all around the world again. It's not as if they're going to come back revitalised, is it? So that whole kind of rotation or midfield, I don't know. Something needs to change for these last few games, because suddenly, we'll talk about it more next week, but you get beat by Everton, then it's like fucking hell. And then we still got to play Arsenal, still got to play Chelsea, still got to play Tottenham. Suddenly you're going, fucking hell, suddenly then you have
crawl into the line.
You have to be Fulham away, which is a tough game, and you're like, you have to then beat. So yeah, I just hope we turn it around quick.
Excellent.
One thing I will say though, and I spoke to the lads last night about my perfect analogy that I've came up with.
Been waiting for this.
And I've only come up with it because, you must put in the notes here. Yeah, you give your thoughts on it actually first, and then I will hopefully, if you're going to go the way I think you will, I'll give you my analogy. This whole kind of rhetoric now that Liverpool are only going to win the league, like, that is a load of shite.
I agree. It's a brilliant achievement to win the Premier League. I think the context of how far ahead you've been and the opportunity you had always makes you think that. But it's a bit like, I mean, I don't want to say it because it might kill your analogy. But go on, you.
No, well, I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength, because I think anyone in the media who says it's only the league, they're just either, a bit of Blue, a bit of United fan,
like going into the Olympics or something, isn't it? Being like a sprinter or something, you can go for the 100, 200,
yeah,
and the relay. But you come away with a gold medal in the 100-metre final, because that is the
my analogy
wants.
is exactly the same, just a bit seedy. So mine was along
sure.
No, mine was right. You've got the love of your life there, and she bails you. You're absolutely heartbroken, right? And then all your mates, being good mates that they are, they take you to either Vegas or Ibiza. You're at a pool party in the summer. All day, the most you're looking at is like 4s, 5s and 10s. You're thinking this is shit. You're still heartbroken. But then as the day goes on, a few more bottles down you, the sun's starting to rise, the music gets going, then out of nowhere, some 11 out of 10 comes over. You are like, oh my God, you are that starstruck.
Yeah, and he's disappointed he's looking at 10s.
Yeah.
One's better than a 10.
No, I'm talking
is this out of 100?
An 11 out of 10, suddenly, make eye contact. An 11 out of 10, catches your eye, and before you know it, he's having a bit of chat in the pool, having a little, it's going great. You can't even remember the girl that broke your heart's name. You are like so smitten. Day couldn't get any better. The music's going, you with all your mates, brilliant. Then as the night goes on, it becomes apparent that she comes over and she says, hey, look, do you mind if 3 of my mates come back with us tonight? You're like, oh my God, am I having the greatest day of my life? Suddenly now you've got 3 absolute worldies wanting to come to your hotel room.
4, isn't it?
4, no. The girl and
3 of my mates?
Yeah, whatever. The 3 or 4 of them, whatever.
That excited, you can't count.
You can't excite. You're just like on cloud 9. 1 minute you were heartbroken, the next minute you got 3 or 4 worldies wanting to come back to your room. As you get back to your hotel room, the first worldie you spent all day with, the 11 out of 10, the one that is just like, wow. She says, you know what? I don't think I can share you. I just want you for myself. There's a split second in the hotel corridor, you're thinking, fucking hell, you've just killed what would have been a great night there. But the next morning when you wake up with this 11 out of 10, you aren't asked. That is my analogy for the Liverpool season.
I think the only bit as a question with the analogy and the comparison, the comparison to the whole Liverpool situation is the Premier League haven't said to you, no, you can't win them trophies. You've only got to win us. This girl has went to you, actually, Andy, if you can last, you can have all 4 of them, for all 4 of us. But if you can't and you get a bit tired, then I'll still be here.
Yeah,
That's probably more.
It's the decision-making process of how we got to that,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't...
But like you say, at that time, when that kind of threesome, foursome gets taken away out of you, you're going to be good. Yeah, you're gutted, aren't you? But when you're going for round 2 in the morning, after
when you're sober up,
the next morning with Morning Glory, you're fucking made up, aren't you? With this 11 out of 10, you know, a week ago you were heartbroken because, you know, the love of your life's gone.
When you get back home to tell the story to your mates, though, you're a bit gutted you don't get the phone.
You wouldn't, because you'd be all happy again.
What? My God, Andy, how close were you
No,
there?
all your bitter mates would be like that, like the Blues and Manx would be like that, but your proper mates would be like, you know what, you were heartbroken a few months back, look at you now, made up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're both on the same analogy, I'm glad, but I think anyone in the media or any footy fan says only
going
the
back to
Premier
that
League.
analogy, the likelihood is, the way it's going at the moment, you're going to let yourself go and she's going to leave you next season.
Yeah,
and you won't see it for another 10 years.
Yeah, the analogy would be, you have this great kind of, you know, 3-week honeymoon period over the summer, and then by the 1st of September she's gone. That's what it would be like.
I like it though, yeah. Well done. This is the Sportscast, by the way.
It wouldn't be the Sportscast without a seedy, you know, anecdote from me.
Yeah, glad you said you.
Yeah. So there's nothing really else on Liverpool, is there? Obviously quiet week, they've all gone away. Let's touch on what Everton got up to last weekend. I didn't realise you play, Dice gets sacked. You have that FA Cup game, don't you? Who was Baines, was it, managers? Who takes over?
Yeah, Baines.
And then you play Villa, get beat 1-0. You're unbeaten since then.
Yeah, Moyes' first game, we got beat by... we were unfortunate to get beat by Villa. Villa just kind of, took the chance.
I couldn't believe, though, you're unbeaten since then in the league.
Yeah, 9 games unbeaten, yeah.
It's crazy. And again, the fucking derby next.
To make it 10.
How can you say, by the way, that you didn't realise when most weeks you go, Everton are still unbeaten? Are you not listening?
I suppose just when you think, though, how many games it's been. I didn't realise it was from as soon as he come in.
Yeah, madness. After the Villa game, yeah. The Villa game was his first game and he got beat then, but since then we've been unbeaten. Yeah, it was, you know what, you saw obviously very, very different situation, but it was a bit flat for us on Saturday. I think, like, I enjoyed it and I enjoyed the day, as you always do, but the game just felt a bit like there wasn't much on it. I know you were saying there's a bit of needle around Moyes, but we didn't feel that. So I think the West Ham's fans have been in a similar situation because they're out of danger now. Graham Potter's kind of got them really well organised, by the way. I know you've got to play them. They're a different side now. Bit more boring and conservative. Very similar, I think, to the way Moyes had them. But they play Kudus and Bowen as like 2 false nines and just have everyone behind the ball. So when they win the ball, they just run in all directions. And they had Tarkowski and Brandwaite up the wall with the movements. But generally, they're just really hard to break down. Really solid banks of a 4 or even a 4 and a 6, if you include Bowen and Kudus. And we found it difficult, and they just took the life out of the game. So there was the usual, like, 1878 stuff before the game, all the flags and banners and stuff, which has been a thing for this season to see out Goodison. And then after that, it was like first 10 minutes, they were just, you could see, they were just content to just sit in there, make it difficult, players on the break. And we found it hard, and yeah, there was just not a lot in the game.
I've not even seen the goal. Was it a good equaliser last minute?
It was a really well worked goal. It was like a clip ball from Mikalenko, I think, to the far post, and Ganagai comes in, volleys it across the face of goal, and O'Brien comes in and heads it. It was like a well worked goal. It's one of them where we're throwing everyone up at this stage, and O'Brien, as he has been fairly traditionally, is getting in the area now from that right back position. And yeah, it was a decent goal, but you've asked the question here, did we deserve more? I wouldn't say so. I think a draw was a fair result. I don't think they deserved to win it, but I don't think we'd have been walking out the ground going that was robbery. It was a draw.
It looks pretty 50-50 on the stats, doesn't it? To be
fair, and the stats are as fair a reflection of the game. I mean, sometimes you look at the stats and think, I can't believe they had that many shots. It didn't seem like it, but it was a game where, you know, they didn't have that many chances. We didn't have that many chances. I'm fairly certain that big chance would have been the goal, because
nothing else.
We were talking about it in the build-up to that thing. We haven't really created a chance today. And then someone else said, but they haven't really created a chance. It was one of them games. There wasn't much in it. Both teams, I think, were fairly content until they scored, and we obviously had to open up a bit more. But credit to the manager. Not that he needs any more credit this time, but he made some very bold changes at 1-0, which just changed the game. And to be fair to him, he's not been able to do that so far. Again, not that I'm criticising him or whatever, but I think there's been games where you thought, we could have done with the change. But, you're looking at the bench and there's 2 goalies, there's 4 defenders, whereas we had Chimiti back, we had Brozier back, and Dye's back for the derby, Calvert-Lewin's back for the derby. So you're now looking at the bench thing. We have got options and ways that we can actually change the game, which he did.
It's mad as well. You're talking about how the great job Moyes has done, 10 unbeaten.
Without.
Same points as Spurs now. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's more of a reflection of how bad Spurs have been.
You think of Richarlison, getting his big move to one of the top 6 clubs if you want to put Spurs in that. And you look where they are now, you think...
Yeah, they've had some bad injuries, but they've lost a lot of games.
I'd be astounded if he's the manager next year, Postecoglou.
Yeah, Daniel Levy doesn't hang about, does he?
It's all resting on Europe for them, isn't it? I guess, but I can't see it happening.
But yeah, as I say, it was even like we do an instant match reaction after the game, and it was the shortest instant match reaction. And we were like, I don't really know what to say about that. Well, made up for the players staying unbeaten. Well done to David Moyes for some of the changes he made. Again, made up that O'Brien gets another deserved goal because he's been such an influential player since Moyes has come in. But yeah, apart from that, he's a bit like a Dan Burn for us. Dan Burn traditionally has played fullback for Newcastle, hasn't he? He's playing in that position at the moment, but you can see he's probably going to become a bit of a cult hero for us because he leaves Everton on the pitch like he's a proper old school defender. Yeah. And yeah, it's great to see him doing well.
Away from Liverpool and Everton, then the news they reckon is going to be out at some point the next couple of weeks about Man City and their charges. And seeing Oliver Holt put a article out, and he was basically just saying that there's nothing that comes out of this report is going to be a victory for anyone. It's not going to make anyone look good, whether it be the Premier League or Man City. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks really just to see what happens on that, and the big hoo-ha about it and stuff like that. I think they'll get a hefty points fine, which will get them out of the European places, but not enough to get them relegated.
Is it going to be finalised this season though?
Well, that's what they'll get, but then they'll appeal it, won't they? So I don't know whether that will then come into this season, next season, or what. It's going to take again longer, isn't it?
It's interesting, obviously. It does have implications for the rest of the league. Obviously, 1 for the Champions League places, but 2, I think there's a chance with various different things going on that European places will go down to 11th.
11th, yeah.
11th?
Because Newcastle won on
Newcastle
on
into Europe, and obviously they're going to qualify via the league places. One of the English clubs could win the Champions League. One of the English clubs could win the Conference League, Europa League.
Wow. It's a bit of a farce, isn't it?
Maybe a bit of a farce. It's obviously a long shot for all those things to happen. But
wow.
Could be going to Europe. Hey, could be in Europe.
That'd be Man City, that they'd end up getting a points deduction and still make fucking Europe. No one
But that circles back to we were saying the other week about this league being shit. In comparison to all the other leagues, if you got 11 of the 20 potentially getting
You'd proper Everton now if we finished 12th and Man City finished 11th. Man City finished 11th by a point.
Yeah. I see, and obviously it is international. No, we don't really talk much on England, but just wanted your thoughts on some of the call-ups. I kind of had a bit of a flack from the lads in the group chat about Henderson. Listen, a lot of people are raising their eyebrows. Why is he getting brought in? And anyone listens to the pod will go, he's only saying that because he thought you were Turki. Listen, he was...
No, to be fair, you criticised him as much as anyone for the move he made to Saudi and all that.
But I think now he's... Ajax at the top of the league.
He's not playing every week, though,
He's playing most weeks.
Most weeks for the fucking
Mate, I think he is,
in Holland.
No,
most weeks, yeah.
No, because
he's not playing every week.
I got this up. I'm sure he is.
He's not playing every week.
Well, he was captain, wasn't he, most of the season?
Yeah, he was, and then he fell out a little bit, didn't he, with the supporters because he tried to force a move in the window.
He's playing most weeks, lads.
Yeah, most weeks.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be most
weeks. Suspended.
He's most weeks for a team in Holland shouldn't be good enough to be
playing for England. I'll change
it. Not when Morgan Gibbs-White.
Hang on a minute.
Is one of the best players this season.
He's played every game I can see, apart from one when he was suspended, 2 when he was injured, 1 when he was coming back from injury.
60 minutes on the bench.
So out of how many games are there? About fucking 30. I think there's 3 or 4.
Sorry,
two that he's been on the bench.
Come on, there's more than enough. There's more than enough midfielders in the Premier League that are playing well this season, that are informed, that should be having that place. And it's not like, listen, I would get it if we're on the eve of a World Cup and he's looking at it going, we need a leader in there for this, this, and this. We're fucking 2 years away from a World Cup. What's the point in picking a 34-year-old that's at 90 odd caps or whatever it is? What are we gaining from that?
Maybe he's doing it. He's thinking, this is his last go, and his last 2 games. I just want to look at him, and then he won't get a look in again.
Why though? The first thing he said, and the players will come out and said this. He sat them all down and went, right, our first job is we're going to win, or the first thing is we're going to win this World Cup in 2026. Brilliant. They're looking around thinking, yeah, we're all going to be here. You're not, Jordan. 36 then, mate. You're not even good now.
Yeah, no, it is a weird one. All I was saying is I wasn't as shocked as some people, because if you just look at it on his captains after season Ajax, who were top of the league, you think, well, you know what I mean? On paper, you go, well, he's doing well, isn't he? I'm not saying that means he's doing better than more Gibbs White and all
is
that.
Ajax being top of the league in Holland as good as Nottingham Forest being third in the Premier League?
No, obviously not, no.
And who've Nottingham Forest's best 2 players been this season?
I 100% think that
how on earth is Morgan Gibbs White?
Morgan Gibbs White should be in ahead of Henderson, I'm not saying that. But I just
Rashford
mean...
in the squad as well.
Rashford's
What's
a crazy
that about?
One. Crazy
Literally,
one,
has he started 1 game? Hasn't started the league game for them yet? Has he played one and started
Come
one in
off
the
on
cup?
the bench, I think, a couple of times, lad. Yeah, it's mad.
I mean, I was laughing a little bit about Dan Burn, but you know, you look at it actually, it's nice to see someone like him getting a call up, and obviously he's justified it by scoring the winner pretty much in a League Cup final.
I mean, I'm saying that, I'm fucking that arsed about it. I won't even be watching. I don't even know who they're playing, to be honest. Is it friendly or is it
Albania? Is it? I think it's Latvia and Albania. I think, and that's only because I've heard it on TalkSport.
Yeah, should give a shout out actually. Jamie Carragher's lad, James. He's just got a call up from Malta.
That's a funny one.
It's his great grandfather.
They've got citizenship, or they've just had to get citizenship, haven't they?
Oh yeah, I think it's. I think if hopefully I'm not wrong. I think it's his great grandfather is like was born in Malta.
But to be fair, I've learned quite a bit about, not about Malta, but about the way this works. The lesser nations have basically got scouts who go around doing almost like genetic
family trees.
Yeah, like doing, honestly. And then they work their way down the leagues and go watch games, and they go, I think this I've been told this person has got a... So they have researchers going through all the squads, trying to find players who are not representing the country, seeing if they've got any distant relatives. Like me mate, a fella I used to work with, Dan Neville, his name is, now does it for Jamaica. He's recruited some, like, you look at Jamaica's squad now, it's class.
Well, you look at James Carragher now, he's probably thought to himself, I'm never going to get in. Listen, his our fella was one of the greatest defenders this country's ever seen, and was limited in in England chances despite winning the Champions League. So he's probably thinking, my fella never got a look in. I'm probably not going to get a look in. What can I do? Now he's playing for Malta. I think they're playing Poland next month. They're going up against Lewandowski.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Class.
So there'll be loads of scousers just follow Malta down now, which is great, isn't it? So
Philly Carragher taking all the half of Liverpool to watch Malta.
Boss, wouldn't it? And then the other one, and I might get a bit of flack for some of my kind of thoughts on this, but the ladies' game is coming to... I always feel this is another thing. The ladies' game, the women's game, comes in to the news a lot more when there's not really much other stuff going on. That sounds a bit harsh, but that's just what I feel. Last few weeks, you haven't heard anything about it. There's an international break, slow news week. Let's talk about the women's game. That's how I personally feel. Anyway, there's talk about the women's team might be going into Goodison rather than that getting demolished. I assumed it would have got demolished, but there's talk about them going in there. I've seen Ian Wright moaning a lot about the state of the pitches for the Champions League game. And there's also a lot of...
Real Madrid Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah. There's also a lot of talk about the Women's League closing off relegation to try and get more investments into the league. So what they're trying to do is that they want...
Keep the big clubs.
They want the big clubs to throw some money at the women's game. And the big clubs like, well, we're not getting a return of investment on it. So then the leagues are saying, well, you know what? Give us, your 20 million and you won't get relegated for 5 years, and we'll build the league up that way. So you're definitely not going to lose anything on your investment. And I just think that's
it's
so
an
wrong.
MLS idea that the MLS done that when they were trying to build up the franchise.
It's so wrong though, I think. I
mean, look, what you've got to do, and it's been so long since this country's had to think about that. You've got to look at how other countries have built up their league and how they built up their brands and stuff. So I know what you're saying. If you can put that in the men's game, it's like as if we do that, and it doesn't happen in any league in the whole of the English pyramid. But we're not in that position, are we? And women aren't in that position.
No, and that's the kind of point I was going to get to. And
so you need a businessman to look at it and go, okay, this is what this league's done. It's worked for them. They've gone from this to this.
But I don't think you should be able to just say no one's going to get relegated so everyone can invest in it. And then 5 years, once everyone's invested, then you can get relegated. Like, it should be organic. And what I want to say is a bit harsh. And we said just before I recorded, I hate Joey Barton in a sense, because he comes out with so much shit. When he does actually make certain points, you can't really align yourself with his good points. No, I'm definitely not comparing myself to him. But you can't really align to any of his good points because he said so much shite. And he has said some really, you would call harsh and damning on the women's game, but some of it has been right. Like, Lee Trundle, you know, I love Lee Trundle, I think he was great, but the level he played at, they took a team of ex-Swansea pros and played the women's game. I'm talking women who've won the World Cup.
The American national team.
The American national women's team, they've all won the World Cup, etc. They beat them 12-0, right? So...
Yeah, but you play men against women in most sports because of the physicality, and that would happen.
Exactly, right. I'm not saying that they should be winning. I'm not saying that. But then the idea that then you can then go, okay, right, there's such a gap difference, okay, there's such a gulf, but we're still going to fill 60,000 seater stadiums.
No, I don't think. I don't know where you've got... No, listen, I don't know where you've got... I'm not... Bear with me, I'm not completely disagreeing with what you're saying. I don't think anyone's turning around saying, why aren't these stadiums... 60,000.
That's exactly what they are. That's what's pissing. I listened to the overlap last week, and the amount of talk on the... And listen, I've got a daughter. You know, you've got a daughter. I want my little girl to be able to try any sport and have a go at it and that.
Here's a question though.
But what I feel though is everyone who talks about the women's game, they're just being a bunch of tryhards. It's like let's do this, and I get all that. Make it as accessible as you can for young girls. Give them the coaches, give them decent pitches, give them all that. But you cannot force people to go and watch women's football if they don't want to.
No, I'm not saying.
And that's the crux of it.
I was going to agree with you. Bear with me. The question I was going to ask you, which I know the answer to my question. If you said to Alba tomorrow, should we go and watch this weekend? Do you want to go to trampolining? Do you want to do this? Do you want to go to Space NK in town? Or do you want to go and watch Liverpool ladies? That would be bottom of the league, probably.
It'd be bottom of that if I said, you want to go and watch Mo Salah and Van Dijk or the women's game, she'd pick Mo Salah and Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And the point I'm getting at is, is it sad though? Is it sad?
No, it's sad for the fact that if you're looking for a role model, she would be better off trying to watch them. But at the same time, if they're not entertaining enough and they're not... You
can't force people into liking something.
I'm not saying you can.
I know you're not.
I'm just saying that's the reality of where we are.
And it's like, but the big hitters in football and the media...
But you can't force people. But with investment comes TikTok, social media. They're all over that. Like at the moment, they're not. If Alba's like that, flicking through whatever she does, and she sees this, she's like, wow, and they look dead cool. Suddenly they become stars, and you know. So that's what investment can do.
Answer me this then, right? They've just won the Euros, the women. The stock couldn't have been any higher.
But the increase has been significant. So like,
but it's not though. It is for a bit, but it's dipped again.
No, but it's dipped in relation to what though?
Numbers are going down again.
In what? What are numbers? Where are numbers going down?
Attendances.
They're not going down, Andy. Attendances are not going down.
You'll have one game that sells 60,000.
Yeah, all right. They might go
average games week by week.
They might have gone down from the first game of the season. But again, look, go back in history in men's footy. That happens when England won the World Cup in '66. Big peak, drop. So it's historically that's what happens with a game that isn't the priority of a nation.
One of my favourite comedians, Bill Burr, he does a great piece on it.
Oh no, I've said the basketball one. Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah.
And everyone's moaning, going like, why aren't women going to support it then?
I don't think people. I don't think people are moaning. By the way, I don't think people are.
No, the media are. The media.
But I feel like the media have got what they wanted either, haven't they?
Well, yeah. So but the media are just trying to. I feel personally that the media are just trying to force people to go and watch women's football, and it's like,
do you know what?
I've got nothing against women being involved in sports if they're the best in field for the job. I'm not against. I am against women getting jobs over men in football just because they're a woman. I'm against that in all life. Men getting jobs over women because they're any kind of sexist or racist kind of ways where you box tick, and I'm against. What I want to see is the best in class, right? I feel that the media now are just trying to make people support women's football, and obviously I'll support it and women's right to play. I get all that, but I'm sorry, you can't fucking have a go at people.
No, support achievements and support excellence is what you're saying.
Yeah, but you can't almost bully people in to going and watching women's games and kind of stuff like that.
Just a small kind of reflection, I think, of how it came on, but conversely, how it actually benefits the grassroots game at the moment. My daughter's 10. She played footy now for the best part of a couple of years, joined the team at the start of the season. No one in that team, maybe apart from one girl, who I'm obviously not going to name, watches football regularly. So what's great about watching their footy is it's raw. They're not copying anything that goes on over weekends. They're playing footy the way they see the game. Yeah. No one dives. No one rolls around. No one does mad gestures. They don't really do. They do celebrations, but it's pure joy. It's not like copying something. I go and watch my son, who's 5, and they're all rolling round. They're all crying. They're all moaning at the referee. Nobody on their pitch. Honestly, nobody on their pitch ever moans at the referee. They see the referee as like a teacher, a policeman, whoever, or a policewoman, and it's like nobody questions the decision. And honestly, it's a better game to watch. So I watch women's footy and all that drama's going on. So people say, oh, it's a different game. And all right, the atmosphere might be different, a bit more of a family occasion. But the women are still doing all the antics that the men are doing. They're diving, they're having a go at the ref, they're all that. That at the moment hasn't filtered into the grassroots girls game. And that's a positive outcome.
No, that is
of them not watching these pros.
I'm more at the kind of media in almost the trying to guilt you into supporting this. Listen, fucking Liverpool are playing sometimes 3 times a week. I'm assuming the ladies' game play at least once a week, maybe twice. So now, sometimes it's already enough to go to the game 3 times a week or to go and watch it. Now then you've got to go another 2 times a week, watch the women's game. And
unfortunately,
they're trying to just fucking force you into watching every bit of football. And I'm like, I'm sorry if I can't be arsed watching the Liverpool women play Blackburn's fucking women. I'm sorry.
As you're getting at as well, from a lifestyle point of view and culturally, it's hard to keep up with everything. Like, Alba does 2 or 3 things a week. Arabella does 2 or 3 things. I go to the match. Suddenly I have to find the time to take Arabella the match.
That's my point.
Jem would have to find the time, and that's not just saying it's just about women going to women's games. It's like, I haven't got any more time to invest in. Yeah.
And money, because it's not going to be for free.
No.
Because they want to put more money into the women's game, and that's the whole point. They don't want to invest into the women's game because there is no money in the women's game. Why is there no money? Because people are already giving enough money to the actual men's team and giving enough time to the men's game that they can't suddenly go to the kids now. Oh, as well on your drama, your swimming, your acting, your gymnastics, and watching the men's team twice a week. We're actually going to go another week.
What a lot of clubs that do now, which is almost like the way it used to be with the reserves. If you buy a season ticket, you get a season ticket for both teams. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, but that's not making any more money for the women's game, is it?
But it is if the club pays their subscription or a proportion to the subscription. So they look at it and go, okay, well, whatever, 200 of our season ticket holders came through the gate this week, therefore you're getting this. Do you know what I mean? So they take some of the season ticket revenue and put it towards that.
But it's taking money away from the men's team then, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's recognising their contribution towards revenue, isn't it? If you've got 2, let's say for instance you got a season ticket for Liverpool.
But that's not the women's game making money, is it though?
Well, all right, well let me ask you then, if you had a season ticket for Liverpool and they went, all right, Andy, we're going to we can either keep your season ticket up as it is, or we give it as an extra 25 quid onto your season ticket. You can go to any women's game and you can bring Alba for free. Would you do it?
No. I know I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'd probably go to one a season.
Yeah.
I probably would, it's 25 quid, but I know there's a lot of people who are, you can't afford 25 quid.
No, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying that's
No, I think we both kind of agree with each other in a sense. I just don't like this idea of forcing fans to go and do something.
I definitely agree with that, because I couldn't force my daughter to do.
I couldn't.
That's the reality, yeah.
Yeah, same. Right, we'll finish off on boxing then. Bit of a big weekend just gone.
Good boss.
It was. I didn't actually see much of it. I saw all the highlights of it. I didn't see it live though. You used to bang into it, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, Muskie was there. I was out, but was watching it. I'm going to skip past Jack Turner first and probably leave him towards the end with Nick Ball. That's all right. But Brad Strand first. I mean, to the extent that I messaged Muskie saying, it's done this. Because I just couldn't see how he could not get that decision. Now, obviously...
You'd messaged that as we knew that he hadn't won, and I was like, what's going on here?
Because we were behind.
You're behind watching it on the telly, and I'm there, and I'm going...
But I heard the card, and I was like, surely that's him. Yeah. He's won by that distance, which was probably what it was. But to lose, as he did on the card, a majority decision. Well, I heard the points coming on, I was like, yeah, boom. And I remember, I don't know if you...
No, it was a split. He got one of the...
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah. But I don't know if you heard Callum's interview after the fight. He went, as soon as I heard the first card, I knew I'd won. So he must have heard the first card and thought, yeah, there's no way it's that wide. Maybe if you've heard it by a point, you're maybe thinking, shit, there's going to be a dodgy decision. But then when you hear the second one, you're like, whoa, who's giving him that? And obviously the 98-91, I'm sorry, that is...
What are you watching?
Exactly. Have you ever watched a boxing fight before? Have you been pulled in from the amateurs to just sit in that seat and you're trying to point score it based on like number of shots landed or something? Because I can't think of any...
how much these happen though, these mad scorecards, isn't it? It's mad how many times...
And I know they've trialled the whole AI thing, and I wish at the moment there was like a bit of an AI thing in the background to go, well, actually, that's what AI would give it to, just to start to measure the difference between the human.
Once, didn't they, in Saudi the other week?
Yeah, but I almost wish now. I feel like now, if they've got the technology there, it should be in the background. Obviously, only maybe the TV viewers see it, but to start going, well, actually, that was bang on. Like that's where it should have been. But I just feel so sorry for Brad Strand. And you and your family will know him better than I do. But it's heartbreaking because for me, that's probably his career over. I can't see how.
When he went down, we from where we were sat, we were in the tiered seats and we were like, oh fucking hell, he's been knocked down there. But then you look up at the screen and he's got his arms out going to the ref.
Yeah.
He stood on me foot. He was going, oh, ref, no, ref, no, ref. Like, you could tell that he was distraught, and you could tell that he felt like, I've potentially lost this because of this thing that nobody, whether the judges or the refs, have seen it. But then there's like Frank Warren and Nick are on telly going, what the fuck's going on next? They can see it. Yeah. And they're not even as close as the
That's basic technology though, isn't it? Surely at the end of the round, someone goes to the ref, listen,
like a VAR
it's obvious, it's on the screen and all that, yeah. You've got to at least tell the judges that was a slip, it wasn't, or it was, it was a trip, whatever you call it. But yeah, I mean, but even with that, it's on the line, isn't it? Obviously, one of the cards maybe would have had maybe still gets beat, which is just... I could not get my head around
that. That could bring that last card to maybe 96, 95.
Yeah.
Depending on how that round got scored. I don't know how that round got scored, you see, but that could have been the other way round, where if they've classed as a 10-8 round, we were saying, like, to be fair, Baluta shouldn't have got 10 for that round anyway. No. Yeah, Brad's gone down, but...
It was the better, yeah.
Brad, over the course of the round, was the better.
He was the best, yeah, 9-8 or whatever. But, yeah, honestly, just heartbreaking. And I think... Not, obviously blowing me trumpet at all. I think the fight went how we expected it to. I think he had his number. He knew, he knew the tools that Baluta has, and he had more than he was higher energy, more aggressive, looked fitter. Just gutted for him. And as I said, then I just don't know. I know Frank Warren would like to give him a chance, but it's like, what's out there for him now? A rematch? Do we want to see that? I don't know.
I don't know if Baluta would want that rematch either. It does him no favours to have it.
Exactly, because he knows he's going to get convincingly beat. But interesting, and obviously heartbreaking for him. I'm sure he's still sitting there now thinking, what I'm going to do.
It is a sport, innit, where if it doesn't go wrong for you or you get kind of done by a refereeing decision, it's not as if you can go and have a fight next week, is it? And get out your mind. You're waiting months.
And you wait, as I say, and
you don't even know when that's going to come.
The calibre of the fight that comes next as well. Because he already had last year, he's had Dennis McCann, which, he got convincingly beat on the night there. But then Baluta's kind of like one of those where you go, right, if I can beat him, I'm showing people the quality that I've got. He's a good stepping stone to a next fight that's going to push me on further. And now that's a backward step because he didn't get the result that he wanted, but the performance that he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I had to start with that one because it was probably the longer of the chats. I mean, the other fights, Andrew Kane and Kane and Edwards, I think it went the distance. I think it was more convincing than I expected it to be. There was criticism obviously for Andrew Kane after the fight, which I thought was quite fair, saying that Charlie Edwards didn't really come to fight. He was looking to try and outscore him, and it was like, that's not what boxing's about for me. And I tend to agree with that. I think unless you're a master of those arts, like a Mayweather. Exactly. Yeah. I think when you come into what's relatively a domestic fight, when you come to a domestic fight like that, and it's in Andrew Kane's hometown, it's your coach is a Scouser. There's a lot on the fight. There's a bit of needle there as well.
Expecting a brawl, aren't
yeah, and listen, I think you've got to say that was a plays into Andrew Kane's hands. But I thought that Edwards had a bit more than what he shows on the night. I know that although the scorecards were close, I thought it was a bit wider than that in Andrew Kane's favour. I think Edwards probably nicked a few rounds, but again, would I have gave him them rounds as a judge? I'm not sure. I think Kane was always on the front foot and trying to take the fight to Edwards. I wasn't there. I didn't know the crowd booed. I didn't have the sound on.
Good few times. Like within the space of the fight, wasn't just like near the end where it's like, oh, this fight's been shit. It's like quite early on, the crowd are like, we can see what's going on here. And obviously, a lot of people would have been wanting that to be
and I guess you could probably say that most people in the stadium were Kane fans, weren't they? And they were wanting the Scousers to win. But I think it was interesting that he actually came out and said that. and he was frustrated after the fight because, as I've just said, then even though I thought the scorecards were wider, they were tight in the end, and he could have easily just nicked that. It probably wouldn't have been a great victory for the purist, would it, in terms of what you want to see as a fan? Well, I mean, where do we go with Jack Turner? I mean, phenomenal, mate. I mean, the further he goes up in terms of the rankings and the calibre of the opponents he's fighting. I mean, Farag obviously a hell of a lot more experienced. He's been around the block a little bit, and I'm not saying I expected him to win, but I expect him to stay in there a bit longer and maybe acquit himself a little bit better. But just actually walk through him again, and it's frightening. But I think my question, probably to you and the other boxing fans, is how long can he keep this up? I mean, we've seen it down the years, with going back to Nazim and all that, where he's got his hands down quite a lot. He's throwing, he's planting his feet constantly, swinging wild, and it's like any coach who's watching that is thinking it's only a matter of time before you get clipped on the chin here, mate.
Well, even like a Ben Whittaker, for example.
Yeah.
Him starting out as a pro, and even when he was in the amateurs, he was doing all that flashy stuff. And then as he's stepped up a little bit more, it's like, yeah, you can't do all of that now. Now, for now, obviously Jack can carry on throwing these wild ones and getting people into the corner and all that. But if you're going all out attack, then most of your brain is thinking all out attack and not actually thinking about the defensive side. Over time, him and his coaches will get together and come up with a plan for those kind of fighters. But for now, he's putting on the shows, and he's making sure that he's getting higher and higher up people's bills. Yeah,
he's getting noticed. Obviously, been noticed by the brands I'm with near Red Run. They signed a partnership this week. It's just great to see a Scouse brand and obviously a Scouse boxer working together. And I know he's going to get more of those endorsements now as he goes along. But congratulations to Red Run and to Jack for sorting that out. But yeah, it's as you just said in the last point here, Muskie, I think he is ready to move on to bigger and better opponents, more established ones, and he needs, from a matchmaking point of view now, he needs someone who's going to stand in front of him, not just stand in front of him and be hit, which he's had a few of them who've lasted more rounds because they got better chins or whatever, but he needs someone to give him something back and give him something to think about.
Definitely.
And lastly, to finish off quickly, because I know Musk's got to shoot as well, Nick Ball, I thought it was quite funny, the headlock and the kick. That was quite funny.
It was, yeah, but I mean...
It was cheeky, the headlock though, wasn't it?
That was cheeky, but also I was like, fucking hell, something might happen here. Like, because it was a proper, he volleyed him, like...
I mean, that's the thing, though. And
do you think he did, though?
He did, he did. And
a dead leg job, I thought.
No, jokes aside, right?
It was silly, wasn't it?
It was silly. It was very risky. I mean, a headlock probably happens several times in every fight, particularly
when
when
on a little bit too long, doesn't he? In the headlock.
Yeah, he does. But again, that's normally something you let the ref come in. You can't do anything in that position. All he's doing is locking you up, as they call it. The referee comes over, splits it.
You're tired, aren't you? And he's pushing his head down. That is frustrating, isn't it?
It's frustrating, but mate, to kick someone in the ring, he's took a massive risk there.
I think thankfully for him, because of the fact that TJ had him in a headlock, it was like, right, there's one for you. We'll put that behind us. It was the end of the round anyway, so as soon as the next round comes in, start afresh.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was who said it, but they made a great point. It was another boxer, and he said if that was another boxer, they might have made the most of that and went down and whatever. But because TJ's a traveller, he'd be embarrassed by going down. He wouldn't do it.
I don't know. He thought about it. Fucking going down. He did go down a bit.
Yeah, but he didn't like make a big meal of it and start rolling around and be like,
some boxers definitely would have. And again, just touched on Ben Whittaker. People were saying that in October that he could have carried on, but he was on the wrong side of the fight. That he was like, you know what, and I'll make the most of this.
And Haney was at that point when it was over pretty much in terms of the scoring. I mean, impressive once again for him to get the stoppage. First time that TJ's been knocked out, and again he's he's calling out Inoue, which for me is the only place you can go in terms of stepping up now. I think everyone he's come up against has struggled to deal with, what he's got. But Inoue's footwork and how elusive he is, but the fact that, he's now stepped out of Japan for the first time in a while. I think he's fighting in Vegas in the next couple of weeks, isn't he?
In May, yeah.
So in May. So I think providing he comes through that one unscathed, which you expect him to, I think it's going to be a lot of money to make that fight happen.
The only thing is, Inoue's got 2 fights coming up that he's already locked into. So Nick would have to wait a while or
He's very active anyway, though. He's not unaccustomed to fighting, once every couple of months or once every 6 weeks.
Does Nick wait all the way till like potentially December when that might be?
Because I don't think there's any issue having him another outing, is there? And maybe as long as it's not too high risk one. I mean, maybe they have the rematch with what's his face he drew against.
Oh, when he got the one from 4 fights ago, was it?
Yeah. But anyway, it's interesting where he goes from there.
And then lastly, just to finish off the one that we spoke about last week, the other boxers tournament, Dana White and Turki. The kind of details are coming out with how they're going to kind of structure it. Again, let's wait and see what happens. But I just think it's going to cause more problems, and I think less fights are going to happen.
Think so?
Yeah, because it's just adding another fucking stream, isn't it? Rather than almost one happening, you're going to have the WBO, WBA, all that, and another one. I just think...
No, I think where there's more money, there's more opportunity to make fights happen.
But no.
Generally. And I think the purses and the KO bonuses and stuff, I was told that's been going on pretty much since he's come in. It's like he almost goes in the dressing room and goes, go ahead, there's 100 grand on this. You can knock someone out, and it's like, let's go for it. If you think you've probably got an outside chance of winning, you might as well go for the knockout and go down swinging.
It's going to be a wait and see with that one.
Ray Vargas it was, by the way.
Ray Vargas, yeah, of course.
Right. Once again, massive thank you for tuning in this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it amongst your WhatsApp groups. We appreciate the support. If you do want to support on Patreon, the link's there as well. If not, we'll see you next week.